Did you know that?
No way.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes. Look it up right now.
What?
This is a $120 million a year business on Amazon. Gone in a snap. Utopia bedding. Their sales are absolutely insane. This year, I've heard that they're trying to do $700 million in revenue.
Damn.
And no one's heard of these guys. So I feel like there's been a trend away from clean. Like these guys are like, we're leaning into sugar. Are we sort of like enough with the Snackwell, 0 fat, 0 sugar, tastes like garbage snack?
Hundreds of direct-to-consumer brands use Tatari's platform to buy and measure TV ads just like digital. They have deep publisher relationships that give you the best CPMs on linear and streaming TV. Check out their 3-minute demo video at tatari.tv/limited supply.
This is episode 7, season 5, I think it is, or 4. I'm lost as to what season it is.
I'm lost
We
too.
just finished a workout, and there's a bunch of stuff to talk about. The episode that we're recording right now drops in just a couple days, so it's super topical as well. I wanted to talk about 3 things, so I'm just going to jump right into it.
Let's do it.
The first is Bloom. Do you know Bloom?
There's 3 Blooms.
Okay, yeah. This is a Bloom that's an Athletic Greens competitor.
Okay,
Do you know that
Bloom Nutrition.
Yeah, Bloom Nutrition. What are the other 2 Blooms really?
There's Bloom, which is a powder, almost like a tea powder business out of Canada.
Okay.
And then there's Bloom.com, BLUME.com, which is skincare.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's right. Okay, well, Bloom Nutrition it just got kicked off of Amazon. Did you know that?
No way.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yes. Look it up right now.
What?
They just got kicked off of
crazy.
Amazon.
Weren't
Their
they,
products.
they were like on the homepage of Amazon not too long ago.
They were doing more. They were doing the room. So they're off of Amazon. You'll see like all their products were kicked off. They might have restarted. Like third parties might have started selling them again, but it's not Bloom that's selling them. I think.
Oh
you see them.
these collections pages are blank.
Yeah. There's no reviews, and
Whoa.
they were. The rumors are that they were doing $10 million a month on Amazon, $120 million a year on Amazon, and they're gone. They're big in Target as well, so it's not like the business
and Walmart.
disappeared.
I think they're the number 1 greens in Walmart.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got over 5,000 reviews on one SKU in Walmart.
On like Walmart.com.
Yeah.
The hard part with like the .coms is you can bring in your own reviews from your website to
Bazaar
the
Voice.
.coms. Yeah. Like not just Bazaar Voice. When we were at Native, we were going to Target, and Target's like, you need to use Bazaar Voice in order to get your reviews onto our site. And we contacted Bazaar Voice, and they're like, I think they said that they own their our reviews if we give them to them. And they're like, moving forward, your reviews are actually our reviews. We own this, and you can't ever have your reviews again. And so we're like, no, we're not going to do that. And so we worked with Target to give them like a CSV of all of our reviews, and they just uploaded them all.
Oh, wow.
So the day we launched Native at Target.com,
they don't even have to
10,000
vet it?
reviews. They didn't. I don't believe that there was like, any vetting like that.
Wow.
Correct.
Were you ever able to download Amazon reviews, or is that not
No.
able?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That's not cool.
Yeah.
But Bloom was doing over $10 million a month. They're still big in Walmart. They're still big in Target. Their business is not over. Any idea? There's rumors as to why it's off of Amazon now. Any idea why? You want to take a guess?
Yeah, a couple guesses. One is reviews, something to do with like gaming reviews.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Wow.
So I've heard that. I'm sorry. I was just looking them up on Amazon. Like, yeah, all of the reviews are gone. So, like, you look at these products now. It has 8 reviews, 2.7 stars. 1 review, 3 stars. 1 review, 5 stars. 12 reviews, 2.5 stars. Just looking at Bloom right now on Amazon. Before they had thousands of reviews. These products, and so the rumor is that they were running black hat review funnels. So what they did, apparently they got a warning. All of this is rumor. So, no one at Bloom has told me anything. I've just heard this through the grapevine. They got a warning from Amazon in January and didn't stop a review funnel. And the review funnel was basically putting a QR code on their bottle. Again, this is rumor. I didn't see this yet. And if you scan the QR code, they would say, hey, what do you think of Bloom Nutrition? And you're like, I love it. They're like, here, leave a review on Amazon.com. Oh, you don't like it? Okay, don't leave it. Like, tell us why. Here's an email.
And that's illegal?
Mm-hmm.
What? That's not that black hat. That's not like, oh, let me hire a bunch of people at $2 an hour to just write, buy the product, write reviews.
Yeah, that's right. There were like, that's right. It is, but like, it's not like, who does this all over the place is apps on the Apple App Store. If you're using them, they're like, do you love this app?
Right.
I was going to say Hinge, but that's a bad example. Do you love the New York Times? Yes. Leave a review. No. Right. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
Why.
No, they don't even say tell us why. Just keep using the app.
Yeah, fair.
And so, like, the reviews on the App Store are gamed in that way
They've actually made it even easier now. You don't even have to go to the App Store. You can put the stars in the prompt, and then you can choose to leave a comment and go there. But
okay.
Wow, so that's totally fine
on the
by
iOS.
the FTC.
Yeah.
But this is not.
This isn't an FTC thing.
This is
just
an Amazon thing?
Yeah, Amazon is like, hey, look, you're gaming reviews. A long time ago, people would be doing this on Facebook like there was no tomorrow. Buy one, get two free, or buy one, get it for free. What you do is you'd click a Facebook ad, and they'd take you to a messenger bot.
Yeah.
And they'd say, buy this item, send us your order number, show us your 5-star review, and we will send you an Amazon gift certificate for the same amount, or we'll send you 2 free.
Wow.
And like that's how people would game Amazon reviews. In 2017, like I clicked on it might still be happening, frankly. I clicked on one of those ads in, 2017, 2018. For the next 3 months, those are the only ads I saw. Buy one, get 2 free. Buy one, get 10 free on Amazon. Get this for free. And like it'd be high-priced items, it'd be $70 or $100 item. And they're like, buy one, get 3 free. Just do what it takes to get to game a 5-star review.
That's crazy.
And so I see those a lot less on Facebook. It doesn't mean that they're not happening anymore.
That sounds fair to be black hat, but this almost doesn't. This is like you're putting a QR code that goes back to Amazon.
Well, at first the QR code says, what do you think of this product?
Yeah.
Then if you say, I love this product.
I guess because it qualifies. So if there wasn't the qualification, it would have been totally fine.
I think I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it. But, and this is all like rumor as well.
Yeah.
So
I wonder too if then they had separate variants just for Amazon versus
like a QR code.
Yeah, because if you go to shop this thing in Target and leave an Amazon review, that would make sense.
Yes. Because you wouldn't be a verified purchaser and all that kind of stuff. But apparently, rumor is that they had a warning. Rumor is, black hat reviews, and that warning came in January. And then in the last 2 or 3 weeks, all of the reviews have been wiped out. And do
you see all the basically random people just selling a shitty product with their picture now? Yeah,
exactly. And I would say I would think of 2 things about this. One is this is an opportune time if you're a greens business to be on Amazon and blast, Bloom is gone.
Yeah, bid heavy.
Yeah, bid heavy, become the #1 bestseller, and don't give that badge away.
Yeah.
Athletic Greens still isn't taking advantage of this opportunity, and they must have a reason why. But this is a good opportunity for these other guys like Amazing Greens or, Country Farm Super Greens or Gain or Simply Blossom, all of which are in the same space to take advantage of that.
That is crazy.
The other thing that I think about this is the reason that Amazon businesses have a discount to direct-to-consumer businesses. You still don't control your own fate on Amazon. This is a $120 million a year business on Amazon, gone in a snap.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Think about if you're the CEO, investor, chief marketing officer, the guy who's responsible for Amazon business at Bloom's.
Yeah.
If you're the guy who's you run the Amazon business for Bloom's. What the fuck are you doing right now?
Yeah.
What are you thinking right now?
Yeah.
And if you're the CEO, what are you thinking right now?
Right.
And if you're the investors or the board, chances are you can probably get this back in 6 months or something, but that's 60 million. Your yearly projections are now off by $40 million.
Yeah.
Because presumably you won't get this back by December.
I think luckily it is bootstrapped, which is one less headache for them.
Wow.
But
good for them.
Yeah. I feel so bad for the Amazon guy there.
Yeah.
He's probably just shitting his pants right now.
That's right. Yeah.
Damn.
But anyway, I really think that's why these businesses have a huge discount. Amazon businesses were always trading at 2x and 3x revenue, and people were like, why is it trade at 2 or 3x revenue? It should trade at a higher multiple. 2 or 3x EBITDA should trade at a higher multiple. Why does direct to consumer garner a higher multiple?
Yep.
And people would be like, okay, Amazon, you have to pay a tax to Amazon when you make a sale. Direct to consumer, you have to pay a tax to Facebook when you make a sale.
Right.
But the reality is, this doesn't happen when, on Facebook generally isn't we're shutting down an ad account. They're like, we might not approve these ads, But like once you're a big size business, you rarely see ad businesses shut down on Facebook.
Yeah.
The way this was overnight on Amazon.
Yeah. We have a brand we work with that was spending a couple $100,000 a day on Facebook. Their ad account went down, and within 6 hours it was back.
Yeah. Because, you can talk to somebody, they're like, you just talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, we want this business, all that kind of like, at some point, once you're spending enough money, you make relationships with people at Facebook who are like, we're going to vouch for you. And like, you're going to fix your behavior and we're going to make this right. But in Amazon, it's much more of a black box and it's much harder to do. And they're like, look, we've got a lot of monopsony power here when it comes to like, being the only platform where people sell. And so,
they're still going to get the sale. It's just going to be another brand.
That's right.
For them, that doesn't even matter.
That is actually, that is really true. They're still going to get the sale. Anyway, I thought this was crazy. Nobody's been really talking about it. I was spending the last couple of weeks, or like the last week trying to research. How recent
is this?
Last 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe last 3 weeks.
No one's talked about this since.
Yeah. I've been like trying to find more information. I've been going around asking a bunch of Amazon people, like people who sell on Amazon. Like some of them have heard about it. Not everybody. Rumor is that it's reviews. There was a warning. It's down. The product pages, all the reviews are down. You're going to have to rebuild all those things. It's going to be hard to win that bestseller badge back. All of your subscriptions were probably canceled, you spent all this time trying to get subscribers and they're all gone overnight.
Damn. That's crazy. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So it is a big loss. And, I think my learnings are this is why Amazon businesses are discounted. And I think it's right that they're discounted. I also think that like, you got to be more careful when you get to be a big business. You can't take the same risks that like, if you're a young business, maybe you can take more risks. I'm certain you can take more risks, but like, this is why Tide or, I don't know, Athletic Greens probably can't take the same risk as these guys can.
Right.
And these guys probably shouldn't have taken this big risk because they're like, your business can disappear overnight. And so
especially after a warning.
Yeah, especially after a warning. The question is just, did that warning get to the right people? Like, I'm not sure if
gone to like an inbox that no one reads too.
Yeah, or an agency didn't make it up to the CEO, the guy who runs the Amazon business, or maybe it did. And they're like, no, don't worry. We have a good relationship with these guys. And they're like, actually, the relationship is ours. Like, we own the power here.
That's our customer.
Yeah.
Those are our reviews and that's our customer.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I want to switch gears to another Amazon business.
Okay.
Which is called Utopia Betting.
Okay.
Have you heard of these guys?
No.
Okay. It's two Pakistani guys.
Love it.
And I just started reading about them. It's two brothers, and their names are Jabran and Adnan. Okay. And they moved to the United States in 2005. So they have not been here for 2 decades.
Wow.
They started their Amazon business in 2010. Okay. And for 4 years, they were doing it on the side of actually running. For 4 years, they were doing it on the side of running full-time jobs as like consultants.
Okay.
They're both like software developers. And so they're like, we were just running, we were like real software developers. Our mother was like, you need to start a business to keep dad busy. And so they started selling, like they had a couple, they imported some textiles and they tried to sell them. And the first guy they send them to, they're like, okay, send us the money for him. And the guy disappeared. And they're like, oh, there goes our money. And the same thing happened the second time. So they had some trouble getting their business going. Today, in 2023, they're the number 2 seller in Amazon USA.
Wow.
They are the number 1 seller on Amazon Canada. 60% of their sales are in the US, 12% of their sales are in Canada.
What?
And their sales are absolutely insane. 2016, $29 million. 2017, $90 million. 2020, $300. 2021, $400. This year, I've heard that they're trying to do $700 million in revenue.
Damn. What are they selling?
Bedding, like linen products, towels and linen and like bedding products. And it's called Utopia Bedding. And they're like, we are probably the largest brand for bedding, in the world.
Damn, they've got some products with 153,000 reviews.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It is nuts. And no one's heard of these guys. And one of these guys...
Brooklyn and who?
These guys, yeah. So they're like, one of them lives in like Long Island. And, I watched all these like interviews with him and he's wearing a suit and tie.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't like left he's not in the DTC industry. And all the interviews I watched with him were on Pakistani things. He's talking to like this thing like called Open, which it brings together like a bunch of Pakistanis who are successful. And the guy's like, hey, here's how I started my business. Here's what I do. And all the stuff. And then, so I watched 2 of these videos. One was in English. The other was in Urdu. Like, and I was like, wow, I get to practice my Urdu here. This is great because it's not a skill that I'm very good at. The number 1 seller on Amazon, of the top 5 sellers on Amazon, 4 of them are supplement businesses. This is the only non-supplement business.
Wow.
And it is an absolutely bananas business. So 2016, 29 million. Next year, 90 million. Next year, 300 million. Next year, 400 million.
That's crazy. I wonder, what was the year of 90 to 300?
17. I'm sorry. No, that's wrong. I apologize. 2016, it took a few years. 2017, 90 million. 2020, 300 million. So it took 3 years there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the COVID bump probably helped them. But then they sustained.
Yeah.
Because I guess with Amazon, you get to keep your position, your ranking, authority.
It's really
that's the upside of Amazon.
Yeah. So people were like, the guy who was asking him questions was like, would you sell off of Amazon? Do you sell off of Amazon? He's like, 2% of our sales are off of Amazon.
Wow.
And he's like, it's so much easier to sell on Amazon. Yes, I could master Alibaba and maybe I don't know, Etsy or like eBay, but it would take 50% of my time and 50% of my team's time to go from 2% to 10%.
Yeah.
And like,
also interesting, he didn't even bring up .com, just like other marketplaces.
That's right. Yeah. So he has this really interesting story that, he started manufacturing everything in China and then he's like, let me move this all to Pakistan.
Nice.
So now everything is manufactured in Pakistan. 80% is manufactured in-house. And so when I say in-house, I mean literally everything in-house. So he manufactures the bedding, yes. But like, in pillows, he starts selling pillows.
Yeah.
He manufactures the filling of the pillows in-house.
Wow.
He manufactures insert cards, zippers.
I wonder what his margins are on this.
He talks about his margins actually. But so what he says is he's like, look, we're going head to head against Amazon on everything. Like, Amazon is like, everyone's like, oh no, what happens if Amazon starts making this product? You're selling a laptop stand, Amazon starts making this product, they undercut you, your business is over.
Yeah.
You make Allbirds and Amazon starts selling that product.
Right.
It's an inferior product, but they start selling it at least. So everyone's worried that like it's a race to the bottom and maybe Amazon will get into this business. This guy, Adnan is like, I'm gonna beat Amazon at its own business and get cheaper pricing than Amazon could possibly get. So he makes polyester. He does the knitting and weaving in-house. He does the cutting and packing in-house. He has his own warehouse and trucking. So he's literally trucking stuff himself. He has his own truck brokers in-house. He doesn't go to like a freight forward. He doesn't look for online and say, I need YRC. He doesn't go online and be like, let me find a broker to go find truckers. He's like, my guys get on the phone and get truckers themselves. He makes threads, zippers, poly bags, insert cards. Wow. He's like, we want to start making looms. We needed looms, like water looms, which I don't really understand. But he's like, we needed water looms. And so we went to China and they were like, I don't know if they were $500,000 or $5 million a piece. I forget which he said. And he's like, this is too expensive. So we got a water loom and we figured out all the nuts and bolts, every single piece, and we manufactured the loom ourselves. So rather than go and buy it, we literally made it ourselves. It's like, it was, and he's like, it was as complicated as buying a car, figuring out every piece of the car and then coming home and buying all those pieces separately and then building it yourself.
That is crazy.
And so he's like, we are going to that level of vertical integration. And he's like, we rarely work with any partners. Like, we manufacture everything in-house. We truck everything in-house. He's like, we have really high quality standards. And he's like, my brother is a software developer. And he's like, my brother is the #1 software developer in the world. He's like, you could get the top 10 software developers versus my brother in a hackathon competition. And my brother would beat all 10 of these if they were all on the same team.
Wow.
And he's like, so we have, he's like, we've tried to get SAP software. Try and buy software and no one does a good job. We have much better software than everyone else. We have our own, we used to talk about Fulfill.io, which I'm an investor in. We have our own Fulfill.io system so that we have very little inventory. we know how much inventory. Let's say we're making fabric for bed sheets, right?
Yeah.
But that fabric can be used across 600 different items that we have. Like it's cotton. So we know all 600 SKUs that it needs to be in. We know what colors and what dyes it needs to be in. We know how much we're manufacturing of the cotton. We know how much is at Amazon. We know how much is in trucks. We know how much is being made in each dye. So we can say, okay, this is how much cotton we need next week. And these are the dyes we need it in. And we have custom software to do all of that.
That is nuts.
And so he's like, we need only half of the raw materials and inventory the competitors have because we're so good at managing inventory.
Wow.
But we're basically one step away from growing our own fucking cotton.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're able to offer these prices.
And I would imagine because their reviews are so high and I mean, they just pop up, they probably barely spend anything on marketing.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, yeah, exactly. They're the best seller in basically every single bedding category possible.
Yeah.
And this guy just started doing this 9 years ago.
Wow.
In 9 years, and he's, $400 million in sales in 2021.
That's insane.
And nobody knows about this guy.
Yeah.
It's some Pakistani guy. And I'm like, you need to be you need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
You're Pakistan, you need to be the Pakistan's ambassador to the United States. You need to hang out with Joe Biden, Donald Trump, everybody. And you need to be the representative of that country here.
Exactly.
And instead you're sitting in Long Island getting more sales.
Yeah.
Like now and
you're doing what Moiz would do.
Yeah, that's right. Now you need to become governor of New York.
Yeah.
I don't know, do something. And
that is pretty badass.
Yeah, he moved everything from China to Pakistan. No one's ever heard of this guy.
The crazy thing is, I'm just on their Amazon storefront. It's not like they do anything fancy. Like their font looks like Arial, and they just bold it or they make it thin. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and what's interesting is there's one piece that I'm not sure I agree with him on, and he's like, we're building a brand of like Utopia is a brand for bedding, and at one point he's like, I think most of the people in the United States might have a Utopia bedding product in their house, which is pretty crazy. But I think the reality is that like his brand, maybe he's building a brand, although I don't know if anyone knows what sheets they sleep on. People aren't like, these are Pottery Barn sheets or whatever it is, but his brand is certainly low cost and like good quality and low cost.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what Amazon has always hoped for, I think, as well, which is pure vertical integration where this guy's like, I'm doing everything in-house from making a box to a zipper to an insert card so that I can offer you the cheapest prices in the world.
Yeah, totally. It looks like they're also on Walmart.
Yeah.
But they don't have as much engagement there. And then they have their own site is utopiadeals.com, which is interesting. And that gets a decent amount of traffic, not much, but it looks like an older version of an Amazon storefront, their website theme.
Yeah. So he said two other he said one is like at some point while the business is growing, they're like, we felt invincible. So what we tried to do is build Amazon in Pakistan. And he's like, we lost $1 million trying to build Amazon in Pakistan. He's like, that was our biggest loss. And it's like, you're doing $500 million in sales. You have zero, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Then he's like, we tried to build a mobile game developer studio. And I was like, this is insane. Cause my father was actually in textiles. Like he imported textiles from Bangladesh into the United States.
Yeah.
He had his own textile factory in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And, we would go, there's a photo of me as a baby in that, textile mill. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think the looms were run by a guy riding a bicycle.
Oh, wow.
He was on a bicycle and that made the looms run. And he just pedaled a bicycle.
Yeah.
And, it's like this guy did
That's
textiles,
the biggest loser of Bangladesh.
I think it was me doing the biking all the time. This guy did textiles, which my father did, mobile game developer, which my brother did, and e-commerce, which this guy's done it all, but in 5 years.
Stack.
And all certainly the Amazon part far more successful than I did anything. And it's incredible. Like no one knows of this guy. He's making a fortune. I've never met him.
I would also agree with you that I disagree that this is a brand. This is more of like this is the equivalent of walking into 7-Eleven and grabbing a bottle of water when you're thirsty.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, I'm going to go seek out this specific bottle of water.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I'm not sure if the brand represents just like low cost bedding and low cost linens, or if I don't think anyone's like I sleep on Utopia bedding, but I do think that on Amazon it represents good quality, low prices, incredibly vertically integrated.
Yeah.
So nobody like he's like, look, one of the questions was how do you compete with Amazon? The guy asked him, and he's like, I answered this question. We literally do everything in house. We save 3 to 5% because we do our own trucking, so there's no broker there. We make our own insert cards. We make our own bags. We make our own zippers. That saves us another 1%.
And he's talking about like competing with Amazon Basics or like their own brands.
That's right. Amazon's own brands. He's like, we need to compete with Amazon and be cheaper than Amazon. And this is how you do it. And he's like, we think that no matter where you are, no matter where you make bedding, we can beat your price. We can basically do a better job than you can do because we're in Pakistan. The labor is cheap, the real estate is cheap, and the labor talent is hardworking and good.
Yeah.
And so we don't care where you are. We're going to beat you.
Yeah. Amazon has 17% of the number of ratings that Utopia does.
Wow.
So they're betting.
He's winning that battle. But the vertical integration was the craziest, and like also made me realize I'm playing checkers in so many ways. Where I'm like, so many of us are. We're like, we're trying to get to $25-50 million, and we're trying to do just marketing.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, and I think that I always thought that I am always like that's the only way to win. You're never going to be able to compete on price. Like I always thought Dollar Shave Club was a big mistake because I'm like, you're trying to compete on price. You're never going to be able to win that war.
Right.
You need to compete on like product quality.
Right.
And this guy is like, no, I can compete on price, and I'm going, balls to the wall at getting the cheapest price possible by literally doing everything in house.
That's crazy. Did he mention like where he sees the next Amazon being built? Like where's the next place that traffic is getting big?
Yeah, he mentioned he is like there is room in like Amazon Japan and Amazon he's like there is
Just
room in foreign
basically.
countries.
Yeah.
Because he's like 60% of our business is US, 12% is Canada, number 2 in US, number 1 in Canada.
Wow.
And he's also like
for betting now, he's actually number 1. And they don't even run ads because they just still show up in the top row.
Yeah. And look, there's so many reviews. Like if I saw these things, I'd be like, who should I get? This guy's a little bit more expensive and has 400 reviews, or this guy who has 200,000 reviews. Like, of course, I'm gonna get it's orders of magnitude higher and cheaper.
Yeah.
And so if you're on Amazon, you're probably like, you're not like I'm looking for, the nicest bedding in the world. I'm not looking for like, Ritz-Carlton sheets.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
looking
you
for
just
like,
need sheets.
Yeah, I'm looking for sheets that are good, but that are, priced reasonably.
Right.
And so he is like, he's like, there will be another Amazon. He's like, but like, we don't know what that looks like today. And right now, Amazon is so dominant. We continue to lean in rather than lean out. And, that's one of the things that I also liked about what he said, which he was like, everyone's like, you need to diversify off of Facebook because it's your greatest vulnerability. And that's true, but it's also your greatest strength. Mm-hmm. And so, this guy is like tripled and quadrupled and quintupled down on his greatest strength and said, vulnerability or not, I believe in Amazon. And if Amazon removes my product one day, yes, I will lose a ton of sales, but maybe so will Amazon.
Right.
And I'm just going to abide by the rules and win on price and quality. And like we have high standards for price and high standards for high standards for quality and high standards for keeping a low price. And that's a win-win between Amazon and him.
Yeah. That's amazing. What a great story.
Yeah, it's these two brothers. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
he's probably a billionaire by now.
I think I would guess yes. The other thing that it makes me think is like when I hear stories like this on a personal note, I'm like, wow, the feeling of envy never leaves me.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is making more money than I am and has more money. And I'm like, wow, I need to build a bigger business. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure if that's the right thing that I want in my life right now.
Right.
And but
like that feeling.
Yeah. Like, no, just like chasing, the next dollar,
Got it.
Chasing more and more money.
Yeah.
But like that feeling of envy is something that's very hard for me to control. Like when I see something like this, I'm like, wow, this, usually I'm like, I had all these, we had disadvantages or whatever it was.
Yeah.
This guy came to America less than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Started a business 5 years after that. He was a consultant. He still has a Pakistani accent, and he has a $500 million business. And I'm like, that from a personal side, I'm both incredibly proud that a Pakistani can do this, and it inspires me, but also there's that little bit of envy that I wish I could get rid of internally.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to get rid of
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn, what am I doing wrong?
Yes.
Or like, what are all the things that I'm doing wrong that this guy avoided? And why did he avoid it better than I avoided it?
Yeah. And it's also like, why couldn't that be me? Oh, my life would be so much better. If it's even, I think your questions are better questions than the ones I asked myself. Your questions are like, how can I improve?
Sure.
Mine are like, oh man, not life is unfair, but like, fuck, I wish that was me.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know why I still have that feeling and can't get rid of it. I thought by now, I'm closing in on 40. I've made enough money where I don't need to worry about that really.
Yeah.
And I still have that like feeling, and I don't know how anyone ever gets rid of it.
I feel like you don't. Like, I think even interviews I've heard with billionaires, they're just like, they still have that too.
Yeah. I feel like
there's never enough.
Yeah. I think that's probably the reason they got to be billionaires.
Yeah.
And probably the reason they're kind of miserable.
Yeah. Agreed.
But I feel like you don't have that. I don't think that you feel like that way.
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm like, damn, why didn't my parents buy real estate 50 years ago
in San Francisco
or whenever they came?
Or like in California.
Yeah, but then I'm also like, all right, well, this is, like I always think, okay, this is, it's somewhat of an advantage to not have that. And I think also, then I think, okay, well, my kids will be the ones that say, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Again, I think the reason that one of the reasons I love chatting with you is that you don't even the way you're framing it. You're like, I wish my parents had bought all this real estate, which obviously makes a lot of sense. And then you're like, oh, my kids are going to be happy because I worked really hard.
Yeah.
I'm much more vicious and like jealous.
Yeah.
And that's a really bad emotion. And I thought making money would get rid of it when I see other people with money.
Right.
And I'm working to try and stop feeling that way. But it is like, I don't know how people stop feeling it. And it's hard. And like a lot of people I interact with, I can feel it towards me if they're like just starting out their business. And the reason I wanted to mention this is because I was like, I hope they start working on it much sooner than I started working on it. Because it's important, you're not going to be happy when you sell, selling your business will give you the same moment of satisfaction that making out with a girl that you really like is going to get you, or having a fantastic dinner. It'll give you a day or a couple days of satisfaction.
And then everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, and then everything goes back to normal.
Yeah.
One of my favorite interviews, I know this isn't about e-commerce, but one of my favorite interviews is with Tom Brady, and I think he's on 60 Minutes, and he's just won his second Super Bowl. He's 27 years old. And they're like, how do you feel? And he's like, is this it? He's like, that's how I felt when I won my second Super Bowl. I was like, this is it again?
Wow.
This is what it takes to, I'm number one. I'm 27 years old. What the hell am I supposed to do with my life now?
Yeah.
I already won the championship. You guys aren't that good. I'm very good. And, he's like, I keep winning more and this is it.
Yeah.
And so I hope that people who are listening and sort of have that same feeling that I'm describing, which is, not a feeling that I think anyone is proud of, but something that we all have and sort of put a bunch of walls, put it behind a bunch of walls.
Yeah.
I hope people start working on that because you're not going to get it's worth getting rid of. It's worth getting rid of more than building your businesses because it's what's going to make you happy and not becoming Adnan.
Yeah, no, totally. You can't just rely on paid social and PPC for growth. Hundreds of brands like True Classic, Daily Harvest, and Manscaped have turned to TV advertising using Tatari's platform, and they're absolutely crushing their acquisition goals. Many of my own clients at Hooks also use Tatari.
We used them while I was at Native too, and I can tell you that their team is awesome and the measurement is just like digital. So you'll see site visits, purchases, or even installs from TV. Check out their 3-minute video at tatari.tv/limited supply. Okay, great. Last thing I want to chat about, and then we can go to whatever you got, or we can go to, we can record or whatever.
Okay.
Twinkies. Hostess was sold to Smuckers.
Mm-hmm.
So Hostess was went bankrupt twice and then was bought about in 2012 or 2013 by Apollo and Metropolis, which is a private equity firm. It's named after this guy named Metropolis.
Mm-hmm.
He was also responsible for buying Ghirardelli and Pabst Blue Ribbon. So this guy had had some experience buying brands and bringing it out of bankruptcy. He bought Hostess with Apollo for $410 million. They just sold it for 10x that amount, for $4.6 billion to Smuckers. There was this article about in the Wall Street Journal, and it was really interesting. And there are two things that I thought were interesting. Then we'll go to your thing, because I feel like I've been talking a lot.
That's okay.
Okay. So he starts talking about how the article was a little bit about how Twinkies were born. And I'll give you 2 seconds how Twinkies were born. They were born because this company was manufacturing shortcakes with strawberry filling. And the CEO of the company was like, we can only get strawberries in the summer, but we can get bananas year round. So we're going to manufacture these shortcakes and put banana in them. And then World War II came around and bananas started getting rationed. You couldn't get bananas when you wanted. So they started putting vanilla in it. And that's how the modern Twinkie was born.
Wow.
These guys bought it in 2012. In 2004, before their first bankruptcy, Hostess had 34,000 employees. Today, they've got 3,000 employees.
Wow.
Significant decrease in staffing. But here is the magic. Basically, what happened is that they were like Twinkies would only last. They'd only be good for 26 days based on how they were made. Mm-hmm. So this private equity firm bought it. And so as a result, they were only good for 26 days. So Hostess was like, we have Twinkies. Everyone loves Twinkies. Walmart wants Twinkies. Your convenience store and bodega wants Twinkies, but it's only good for 26 days. And that short lifespan means we need to deliver every week.
Yeah.
We make today, which is a Sunday. We deliver on Tuesday or Wednesday. That's already 3 days into the lifespan. Or, maybe we deliver next week. That's 7 days into the lifespan.
Right.
There's only 2 weeks left in the lifespan. And so we can't send it to like a distribution facility or something. We need to deliver it right when we make it.
Right.
And so as a result, we need a massive footprint of Twinkie sellers everywhere. So they had Hostess trucks all over the country delivering to convenience stores, Walmarts, all over the place. In the same way that if you're selling milk or bread or eggs or meat into a grocery store, you probably need to be close to that grocery store because it won't be good for very long.
Right.
These guys, what they did is they started using an enzyme and mold inhibitor technology. So basically, they made the Twinkie even more artificial to adjust the moisture of the product. And they extended the shelf life of the Twinkie from 26 days to 65 days.
Wow.
So now, instead of it going bad in 3.5 weeks, you've got 2 months.
I can hear Justin Mayers crying right now.
And so now they're like, we don't need to deliver to every single fucking Walmart ourselves.
Yeah.
We can send it to the Walmart distribution center, and the Walmart distribution center can send it to each individual Walmart because there's plenty of shelf life. Similarly, we don't need to deliver.
Is that where most of their employees were in the distribution?
They didn't say, actually, I'm not sure. It's possible, but they also said that they shut down a ton of their factories because these guys were like, pre-bankruptcy, these guys were just operating in a really poor way. So I think they went from like 15 factories to 3 factories.
Okay, got it.
And so, but like one of the reasons that they could have 3 factories now is they're like, we can just send to a distribution center. Before, you need a lot of factories because you're like, I need something near California. Right. I need something in near Minnesota. I need something in Florida. I need something because it's only got a 20-day shelf life. I can't spend 3 days in transit and then sell another. Then I'm already, down to 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
And so now they're like, we can go to distribution centers where it's easier to serve convenience stores, especially convenience stores in the middle of nowhere. Like, let's say you're a convenience store in Wyoming. Before, they were like, we can't deliver to you every week. There's not enough convenience. There's not enough density here. Yeah. Now they're like, we can mail it to you. We can give it to another guy who's already supplying you other stuff. And 40% of their sales are in convenience stores.
Wow.
And so they sold to Smuckers, which I thought was so interesting. I was like, they're like, this was the key. We basically made the shelf life of our products longer, and that changed the business. And so they sold to Smuckers. Smuckers is like, we're investing big in our stacking business.
Yeah.
It's got $800 million a year in sales in Uncrustables, for example.
Just in one brand.
Uncrustables?
Yeah,
Uncrustables? They're like, we'll do $800 million in sales in Uncrustables
crazy.
this year.
Yeah, they also have the Smuckers jam, the Jif peanut butter, Milk-Bone, Folgers.
Yeah, Smuckers is big, and they're trying to get more into snacking. And so I thought this was a really interesting way that they were like getting into it. Like, they paid a lot of money for Hostess, but Hostess has done this incredible job of sort of being like, we're now they've also like started doing innovation with products again. They have like these Twinkie balls, and they're meant to be eaten in 2 quick bites. But their number one seller is like a powdered donut still.
Wow.
Anyway, I thought this was really interesting for a few reasons. One, how like their operations transformed their business.
Yeah.
And the other thing, the other reason I found it really interesting is because I feel like there's been a trend away from, I think this is happening in like personal care and beauty as well, away from clean. Like these guys are like, we're leaning into sugar.
Yeah, I was just thinking, this is why Ozempic keeps doing better.
That's right. Yeah. But like they're like, we're leaning into sugar because people like sugar. Like people like sugar again. They're like, maybe we'll have fewer treats, but we want the classics. And I think, I talked to Mary Berry about this a while ago. We had dinner and she's like, in personal care, she's like, what I've seen is that people are no longer all about natural ingredients. They're leaning into efficacy again and not natural.
They want science.
And so I thought that was really interesting because I was like, I wonder if that's what's happening here. Are we sort of like enough with the Snackwell 0 fat, 0 sugar, tastes like garbage snack and back into the, okay, I'll just have one really terrible for you donut, but I want one that tastes good. Like enough Halo Top. Yeah. Give me Ben and Jerry's, but give me like, I'll have a small amount of Ben and Jerry's instead of a whole tub of Halo Top.
Yeah. I feel like also there's going to be more brands playing in the middle. Like a lot of there's like, Doritos, which is on one side, and then there's kale chips on the other side, which taste like shit. Yeah. Or just any of these like better for you snacks, which taste so bad. But I think there's going to be a healthy middle, which is like, it's going to be some calories. It's not going to be, like there's a good gummy brand that just came out, Blocks, BLOX, which I invested in. And they have
it's like gummy bears?
Yeah, exactly. Little gummies. They're a fraction of like what traditional gummies are, but they're not 0 calories, 0 sugar either. Yeah. They're somewhere in the middle and they taste amazing. Weed. Yeah, they're not weed gummies. They're children's gummies.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which actually brings me to the next idea here that I had, which is that I don't know if you've seen the same, but I feel like fundraising has, how there's like when they talk about the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, in fundraising, the brands that really had lesser of a chance are having almost closer to 0 chance of fundraising. And on the flip side, the brands that were going to do well anyways are getting their fundraising done even faster.
Well, let me dive into that with Blocks then. How did they get in touch with you first?
So Blocks is made by Night Ventures, which is the same team behind Feastables, who we worked with to launch the Feastables brand.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And so they reach out to you and they're like, hey, we're launching this new brand. Do you want to invest? And was it like, hey, you're going to like, did you put cash in or are you like, hey, I'm just going to do all this stuff for free or for a lower amount and then I'll get in a share?
Cash.
Okay.
But we did give some stuff in there too. Okay. And that was more so to just try to keep them happy basically.
Yeah. And what, like, did you invest in them because you really believe in the Night team? You really like the product, or tell me your thesis.
Yeah. So two things. So I hadn't tried the product. In fact, it was a juice box. So when it launched, it was supposed to be juice boxes, but then that led to its own supply chain issues, and they pivoted to gummies, which exploded for the business.
Oh yeah. You showed me this actually.
Yeah. So the reason I liked it was actually what the punchline was here, which is the celebrity-led brands that show a path to retail almost get funded within like less than 7 days. Yeah. And they have so much overflow. There's another one that I'll tell you the name of later, but it's a small beverage, like a canned beverage, with a deal from Walmart already. The company name has just been established. They just got the logo done and refined, and Walmart's already said we're buying this many millions of product next year. And like this round, had an overflow of millions of dollars of people who wanted to get in.
And there's a celebrity associated with it.
There's a celebrity associated. But had there not been a celebrity associated, they wouldn't get the Walmart deal. They probably wouldn't get all the, they wouldn't get the funding. And then there's a lot of other companies I've seen where, I talked to them 6 to 8 months ago. They said they were raising, I never put the check in because I didn't personally want to, but then I got an update recently saying, oh, we're actually, we're not fundraising anymore. Like we're just not going to fundraise. We can't fundraise. We're going to try again at a later time.
Yeah. I do think that, like, celebrity brands with a path to retail, a clear path to retail, seem to do incredibly well.
Yeah.
And, or at least have like a good I should say at least have good bones to start, right? Like
Right.
you're just like, okay, we're gonna sell in retail. There's a celebrity behind it. She's gonna go to Sephora and make it huge, or go to Walmart, and Walmart's gonna love that because it's good PR when you know Sophia, like from Faraga goes to Walmart,
Right.
and like people are like, oh look, this rich, amazing, beautiful celebrity is at Walmart shopping.
Right.
Walmart's so great. So I think Walmart likes it. Sophia's like, great, I got my product in. So I understand why that happens.
And Walmart's been doing a ton of these like celebrity or influencer brand deals lately.
Yeah.
And I think they sort of see it as a way to make their brand cool again also among younger shoppers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a huge sales play, but I think it's also their brand team is probably going gangbusters over it.
Yeah.
And they also put, at least for some of these brands, they put like a 12-month exclusivity before you can say, all right, I'm going to Target, 7-Eleven, Kroger, etc.
Yeah. When after Native got into Target, we did a short exclusivity period with them, which I believe was 6 months. And then like one of their executives was like, we need to make sure exclusivities are much longer moving forward. Like Harry's, Native.
Did they try to buy you in for more?
No, but like what we did do is we're like, you're our like, there was an unsaid, when we have new innovation, we come to you first.
I see.
Because you're the Native resonates with this with this brand more than anybody. Like Native.
What did you see as like the big your top 3 wholesale accounts? What did you see as the difference in the shopper personas?
Massive. So like let's say between Walmart and Target, like we're we were well prepared for this because like Secret Clinical, which also is like our price point, they're like, look, we do well at 400 or 500 Walmarts. I forgot how many it was, and they're like, we don't do well at any of the other ones.
And how many Walmarts are there?
4,400.
Okay.
So they're like, we do well 400, and we do not much sales in 4,000.
Yeah.
And look, I get it because there are Walmarts and zip codes where like the average per capita income is $25,000 per year,
Yeah.
And so it's hard to be able to swing for a $12 deodorant then. And so we did there were 1,800 targets we were in, and this is all public information, so I'm not like it's all on Nielsen. We were doing like I can't remember, $1 million a week, I think, in retail sales.
Wow.
Across those 1,800 locations. And in Walmart, we were in double the amount, we were in 4,200, like double the number of targets, and we were doing half the sales.
Wow.
So Target was 4x more productive, basically, than Walmart was. One of the things that we were always trying to avoid was Costco. Because we knew that Costco would sort of say, we need way cheaper pricing than everybody. This sells for 12.
Yeah, they'll just negotiate you hard up front.
They're like, they'll be like, okay, we'll, give it to us at whatever price you sell to everybody else at, and we're going to sell it for cheaper. So we're going to put these 3 units in. You sell them out for $30 on your own website. We're going to be $25.
Yeah,
and then it would cause a pricing war.
You know what's funny? Did you pre-order your iPhone on Friday?
Actually, okay.
I did too. My mom texted me yesterday a Costco link. She's like, look, it's $200 cheaper on Costco. The iPhone Pro Max 15.
Is it?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I know.
Costco is so good.
Yeah, they're just so good.
That's incredible. I might cancel my order now and reorder from Costco. $200 is a lot.
It's a good amount.
What color did you get?
Black.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to like.
I feel like I normally always go for the new color, and then I just after it comes 2 weeks later, I'm like, why didn't I just get black?
Yeah, I almost got white, and then I was like, I'm gonna regret it. Get black. So we were always trying to avoid Costco because we're like, this is gonna create a pricing war.
Yeah,
they're gonna be $25, then Walmart's gonna say we need this for $25, then Amazon's gonna be like we need this for $25, and basically if you get into Costco, you've ruined your whole business.
Yeah.
So we tried to avoid Costco, believe it or not. Although I think it is an incredible chance. Like if I could get into Costco if I was a new brand, I might go into Costco first, especially if I had not been in retail. I'm like getting new, great brand awareness. People like Costco is a target shopper who's buying for a bigger family.
Right. Yeah.
And
fully agreed.
And so and they like Costco is like Amazon, except you deliver it to your own house, and you care more about like the brand. You know?
Yeah.
And so I would have loved to get into Costco. One of our competitors did, Schmitz did, and I think they were selling like 3 for $13, and we did the math, and we're like, probably costs you $2 a stick.
Yeah.
You've got $6 here. Plus you have to create this blister pack. Basically all three, no one buys
Probably
three
break
individually,
even.
right? You got to yeah, exactly. And so we're like, there's no margin in here.
Right.
What are you doing? And anyway, so I think Costco would have been tough. So you invest in this business. How many direct consumer businesses have you invested in this year? Are you like
this year a lot less?
Yeah.
Maybe less than 10.
Okay. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That means you're doing a deal a month still.
Yeah.
Why have you invested in fewer this year than last year?
Well, one, I think there's less good ideas that have come. I think also my sense of what's a good idea has gotten a lot more refined.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I just generally think like because there is less funding happening here, there is less people that are saying, I'm going to try to go build a big business here. And so I think that's one part of it. And I think the other part is majority of the things have already been tried. Like there's not a lot of things that haven't been tried. And so now I think the reason like celebrity brands come up a lot more is like that is your edge when selling something that somebody else has already tried. Yeah.
That's interesting. I invested in Magic Spoon in a similar way. Like it was going to be a cereal business. It wasn't going to be something else.
Yeah.
They had, I think it was like pre-product, or maybe they'd sent me a bag and I was like, it was pre-production. So that like, it was quite media. Like they were like, look, we're working on it. So, but here's like something so that you can see what it like, that we're not working on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fair. And I really liked that the guys were second-time founders.
Right.
Like I love second-time founders because you don't have to figure out what is Klaviyo. Should I be using Klaviyo?
They've made all the mistakes.
Yeah.
They're worked with all the bad agencies.
Yeah. And they can like vet. They're like, they'll be like, Criteo email the first-time founder and be like, hey, we're gonna get you 4,000 sales for $4 tomorrow. And a first-time founder will be like, let me email you back and say, well, how are you gonna do this?
Yeah.
And a second-time founder will reply back, go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
Like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And so I love second-time founders, and I also loved the idea. And so for me, I think idea matters more than it does for a lot of other people. Like I do like second-time founders.
I agree. I do love the idea part. I feel like though there's a lot of companies where I'm like, that was an amazing idea, but the founder, he didn't have it in him to like go and grind and make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing I look for is like, how hard is this guy going to grind or this woman going to grind?
Yeah.
Like Steph, for example, she grinds. Like she's in Figma designing emails for campaigns herself sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like on the factory floor. But like if, a big red flag is people who think being a founder is like a cool job to have or an exciting thing. Like, oh, I'm going to get press. I got to set up my Instagram account. I don't want to back that guy.
Yeah. It requires effort, and you get like getting your hands really dirty.
Yeah,
especially when you're small. Like Steve Jobs doesn't need to get his hands dirty. You need to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
If you get to Steve Jobs level, you won't have to either. But like, let's not pretend that let's not like fake it right now. You need to get your hands dirty.
Somebody asked me like last week, what's it like running a business? And I was like, you have the best day about 4 times a day and then the worst day 7 times a day. And that happens every day.
That's right. Yeah. It's a roller coaster, not week by week, but
like
hour
by hour. Yeah.
I think the other thing about fundraising for direct consumer businesses is that there have not been a lot of D2C businesses that have proven to be venture scalable. Like these days, I'm also
agreed.
like, okay, if you're raising a Series A or a Series B, let's say, I was going to say God forbid, but let's say you're raising a Series B or an A, you're like, okay, we're $20 million in. There's a lot of pref. A lot of these businesses should sell for $50 million, $75 million.
Yeah.
Like, is that there's a lot of risk to double my money. And I'm not I'm not sure if it's worth all that risk to double my money. There's a risk reward ratio to all of these things. And so if you're just going to double it, it's not that great. When I can get 5.5% from a US Treasury, I can invest in real estate and maybe get 7 or 8%.
After you told me about the Treasury stuff, every time I look at an investment, I'm like, I'd rather farm for 5%.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, it's the US government is the, like right now, that's a very high interest rate.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't look like it's going down anytime soon. So like, that's why, 2 years ago when interest rates were 0%, you're like, I need to put money into the,
Right.
in all of these companies. Now you're like, well, I can get 5% doing nothing with no risk.
Yeah.
You have to be like, if you're going to double my money in 5 years, the government's going to double my money in 20 years, but like probably less than that. Like, like something else a lot, So there needs to be like the direct consumer businesses have not proven venture scalable. Very few have proven venture scalable.
Yeah, very, very few. The other thought that comes to mind too is a lot of the funds that were known for investing in some of the early winners have almost gotten so big that a $5 million check means nothing to them.
That's right. Yeah.
And they need outcomes that are $500 million outcomes or more than that.
Yeah.
To even be worth the investment. So they don't even invest in a lot of things.
Sure. Yeah. That's absolutely right. Like there was a great example when we were trying to fundraise. We went to like. I really like Mavron reached out to me and was like, this woman who was, I think, an associate at the time, her name's Nargia. She reached out to me and was like, hey, I see your brand. Let's hang out and talk about your brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, how the fuck did you hear about us? We don't tell anybody. Like, you didn't hear it from me, and I don't talk. I don't say anything. I keep my mouth padlocked. How did you hear about us? And she's like, this is my job. And I was like, I cannot believe you found out about us.
Yeah.
And she's like, we want to invest. Like, I think they were like, we want to invest in this business. And I was like, no. But I was like, I'm not ready to like raise money right now. At some point that changed. I went to another VC fund who I'm not going to name, and I pitched them. I remember showing them my deck. It's just me and the partner in her office. I pulled up my laptop. I was like, here's my deck. And I showed her our revenue, and our revenue was like, climbing obviously. And she's like, this is cumulative revenue. So basically every month is stacked on top of each other. And I was like, no, this is monthly revenue.
Yeah.
Every month we're growing the business. This isn't like add every month together to get this thing. And so I was like, no, this is monthly revenue. Wow. And then I was just silent.
Yeah.
And so I was like, should I end the deck
the laptop,
right here?
Walk out.
So that woman was like, okay, we're ready to invest, and we'll invest $3 million at a $30 million valuation or $30 million at a $300 million valuation.
Huh.
We'll give you either valuation you want, which is, 10x one versus the other. And she's like, if you take the 3, you can sell for 60, 90, probably the next year or two. Go home, we'll all be happy. If you take the 30, you've got to work here for 5 more years. And I like really appreciated her bluntness.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't like, it wasn't like she, it's very clear the valuations were sort of arbitrary. She was willing to offer me 30 or 300.
Right.
And then she's like, but if you take the 300, you have to work here and you've got to make this $1 billion business. You can't go home at 500.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking crazy. I couldn't believe it. And, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to work here for 5 more years. And I didn't want to, I think. And I was like, $3 million isn't going to do anything for us. So why would I take the, I don't need I don't want the 3 and I don't want the 300.
Right.
So we didn't end up raising it from her. But I really appreciated that bluntness. And so I feel like a lot of people are like, how are these valuations made up? They're often just made up like that.
Exactly.
People who are like, this is what it's going to require from you.
Yeah. On the other hand, all these companies that raised at like 100 valuation doing, 100,000 in revenue are like basically falling apart.
Yes. I don't know who it was. I think somebody tweeted out that like 40% of unicorns need to raise a down round and 60% of unicorns need to go out of business.
Did you see Instacart's down round?
I saw that they're going public at like a $7 or $10 billion valuation. Right?
Yeah, their valuation went down 40%.
Yeah. Stripes went down a lot. A lot of these guys. And like Instacart, I think they said they have like $700 million in ad revenue.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's nuts.
I got to like verify that amount, but I think that's what I remember seeing.
Yeah. Stripe is like real estate. Like you'll still, in real estate, you're like, you still have the roof over your head. You have the asset. Stripe is always going to be processing those cards. And I wonder how much they care about valuation.
Stripe is also, not only is it real estate, it's like real estate in Manhattan. You're like, it might go up or down, but it's sooner or later it'll go up.
Gonna keep
Everybody
going
will like, is going to come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. But like, a lot of these SaaS businesses are like dead men walking. They can't raise again because they've raised a too high valuation.
Yeah.
And like, you and I looked at a deal, and I won't name the business, and they were like, "Hey, yeah, we want 2020 valuations."
Right.
And we're like, I was like, "This is insane."
Yeah. I
was like, you're asking for 100x or 50x ARR.
Yeah.
I can't get there.
Yeah.
So I like, for me, valuations matter. I'm not just like, okay, this is going to be the guy that wins. I'm like, valuations matter. How am I going to 10x this money? If I have to 10x my money and you have to 200x your business, for me to 10x my money,
doesn't make any sense.
I'm not sure that's any of that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. We got to wrap up.
Yeah, let's wrap here.
Was there anything? Was there something else on your list?
There's one other thing, but we'll just save it for next week.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's a wrap for episode 7. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise in CPG, retail, and e-commerce.
And if you enjoyed this episode, then why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on.